Introduction. Hello, my little freaks. You don't remember me, but I am Tufti, and I've come to you from time. Time is eternal. From eternity, you can go wherever you like, whenever you like. 3,000 years ago, I was a priestess of the temple of Isis. Who I am now, I will divulge sometime later. The important thing is that I know who you are, and I'll tell you about that in due course. For you already know who you are, right? You have been brought into the world deprived of a self-instruction manual. Of course, they taught you to wash your hands, change your nappies, but you don't know any more than that, either about yourself or the world. For example, you think you have your own opinion, whereas, in fact, that opinion was implanted in you. You think that you are in control of your actions, whereas, in fact, it is much more important to control your thoughts. Can you? No. You're just little brainless idiots. It makes me want to slap you. I know, you're lonely, unhappy, and think nobody loves you. But I love you, and I'll tell you. I'll tell you how the world works and what is really happening. I'll tell you why you're here and what to do with your life. Because you don't know what to do with your life, do you? You see, get comfortable on your potties and listen. Let's start with the fact that reality is not quite as you imagine it to be. Reality is multi-layered, like an onion. You are familiar with two layers only: the physical reality in which you live and the dream space that you see when you fall asleep every night. The dream space is not a figment of your imagination. It is real, and it takes the form of something like a film archive in which everything is stored that ever was, will be, or ever could be. When you dream, you are watching one of the films from the archive. In this sense, your dream is real and an illusion at the same time. The film you are watching is virtual, while the film roll itself is material. Reality is what has never been and never will be, and only is here and now. Reality exists only for a single moment, like a frame on a film roll, which moves from the past into the future. Your life, or rather your essence, your soul, also moves from one incarnation into another. There was a time when you were all fish, dinosaurs, and all kinds of crawling reptiles. Don't kid yourself that you've moved on so much since then. There's still a long way to crawl before reaching perfection, such as I, for example. You don't remember your previous incarnations because every incarnation is a separate life of your soul, a separate dream, if you like. The soul is not dependent on the presence of the body. This is just one of the forms in which it can exist. The body is just a kind of biosuit. You may ask, what's the point of all these transformations? Such are the fundamental qualities of reality and life: movement and transformation. A frame moves along a film roll. A caterpillar transforms into a butterfly. The butterfly lays its larva. The larvae transform into caterpillars, and those, in turn, become butterflies. At your current stage of evolution, you are caterpillars, small and unpleasant. That's just how you are. I'm going to keep an eye on you. So listen, sleeping and waking life are roughly the same thing. In the early years, you did not distinguish your dreams from reality. You don't remember it now, but back then, you did not think there was a boundary or any difference between this world and that. Then the grown-ups explained to you that the world of dreams is just a product of your imagination, that it isn't real. In fact, you were fed a false belief. That world is just as real as this. It exists, just in another space. You move from one space to another when you wake up and when you fall asleep. Does that surprise you? Does it scare you? You got used to the idea, but still, dreaming and waking that follows the dream are like life and death. Life is the dream, death is the waking experience, but not the other way around, you see. Okay, my dears, let's not run before we can walk, one step at a time. There are 3 similarities and 1 difference between dreams and waking. I'll come to the differences a little later. The similarities are these. First, both in waking and dreaming you are asleep, and because of this, you are helpless in both. This and the other reality exist independently of your will, but I will teach you to wake up, both in dreaming and in waking life. Second, in both spaces, reality moves like a frame in a film roll, yet you don't understand that because you only know how to see what is right underfoot. You lost the ability to look ahead when you started to believe what the grown-ups said about dreams not being real. Third, Here and there, the moving frame can be controlled. The reason you don't control the movement is that your attention is stuck in the current frame. You'll find out what this means in a bit, although finding out doesn't necessarily mean understanding it. When you do understand it, however, you will be able to shift reality. 2 screens. And so, my dears, we have arrived at 3 premises. Both in dreaming and waking life, you are asleep. Dreams and everyday reality are a moving frame. The frame's movement can be controlled, but you don't know how to. You don't control the movement in your silly dreams and your sorry little life, firstly, because you are asleep, and secondly, because you don't even realize it's possible. Let's begin with something simple. What is sleep? Remember I said that you were brought into the world? You weren't given a self-instruction manual? Okay, so you have 2 screens, an inner and an outer screen. You also have the faculty of attention. This is always directed either toward the inside or the outside, very rarely in between. So you are constantly asleep. When you are lost in thought, your attention is totally immersed in the inner screen. When this is the case, you may not notice what is happening around you and be acting on autopilot. Conversely, when your attention is occupied by something external, you forget yourself and again, act reflexively. This is what sleep is, a reflexive state, in which your attention is immersed either in the outer or the inner screen. In this kind of state, you are helpless, unable to control either yourself or what is happening to you. In this case, sleeping and dreaming are not the same. Sleep is an antibiotic state. A dream is something you see, either in the dream space or in the waking space. Dreams and everyday reality are essentially the same. Reality is your waking dream. Reality is a dream, and a dream is also reality. Why? You will understand very soon. Now for the instructions. To wake up in a dream or waking reality, you must pull your attention away from the inner and outer screen and shift it to your awareness center. You are quite capable of doing this. It's easy. Tap your fingers around the area of your nose. Where were you just now? Were you flying in your dreams, or were you admiring me wide-eyed, fabulous as I am? What was your attention immersed in? Which screen? Where is it now? Find a midpoint between the 2 screens. From this point, you will be able to observe your thoughts and what is going on around you. You will be able to see the reality that surrounds you and yourself within this reality. Nothing is stopping you from watching both screens at the same time. You can do this. It's just that nobody has ever told you it was possible, and it has never occurred to you that it might be a good idea. Grown-ups have told you to look here, listen to me, and do as I tell you. You were taught to focus your attention on the outer screen. When something does not work out, you fall into despair and sit alone with your unhappy thoughts about how small, helpless, and unfortunate you are. You have chained yourselves to the inner screen as the only available refuge. Gradually, your attention got used to sticking to one screen or the other without resting in the middle. Eventually, you stopped controlling your attention entirely, so it does not obey you. It floats about of its own accord, and you are constantly falling into a non-conscious state. In this state, you are capable of taking effective action. You may be deceived, hurt, frightened, robbed, even beaten, and still you cannot respond adequately. You are constantly struggling with emotional complexes. You depend on external circumstances and chase after good luck. You know who chases after good luck? Losers. That's what you are, losers. Because the level of your effectiveness in a non-conscious state is no more than 5 to 10%. It's okay. Don't cry, my little ones. Everything can be put right, and I'll tell you how. A stroll through a dream. In the last lesson, my dears, you learned that sleep is a condition in which your attention is immersed in a screen. You can sleep or not sleep in a dream, as in waking reality. To wake up, you must bring your attention to the awareness center. Your awareness center is an observation point from which you can see where your attention is directed in any one moment and what it is focusing on. At the same time, you see what you are doing and what is going on around you. Now wake up and ask yourself, where am I? What am I doing? Where is my attention? Right now, you have just woken up and found yourself at the awareness point. Here I am, and this is the reality that surrounds me. I am aware. I can see myself, and I can see reality. This is an unfamiliar state for you, my precious ones. You only get occasional glimpses of it. The rest of the time, you are transfixed by either the inner or the outer screen. Now, try and hold a state of awareness for at least a half an hour and see what happens. You'll find it will be interesting. It is best to do this in the morning after you have slept well and are feeling bright and happy. It is not worth trying it when you are in a bad mood. It won't work. So get into the observation point telling yourself, I see myself and I see reality. Set yourself the intention. Today, I'm going to stroll through a waking dream. Then go for a walk, wherever you like, to work or to university, in this state of clarity. For the best effect, go to a place where nobody knows you, on a walk to a shopping center or to an entertainment center. This will be a free walk through a dream. When you are immersed in either one of the screens, you are not yourself. You aren't in control either of yourself or the situation. The opposite is true, in fact. Any situation can turn into a dream and control you. And what happens when you become self-aware? You free yourself, and from this moment on, your dreaming, whether asleep or in waking, doesn't matter which, becomes conscious. You are in control of yourself, and most importantly, you acquire the capacity to control the situation around you. But more on that later. For now, try just going for a walk and observing what you see. For example, you turn on your awareness and go into a shop. Say hello, walk about, look around, maybe ask a question and observe the reaction of the shop attendants. Just don't fall asleep. Before you speak, be sure to direct your attention to the center. I see myself and I see reality. You'll find that people will look at you with a certain curiosity and for some reason be especially responsive and well-disposed toward you in a way they were not before. What has changed? Unlike you, the people around you are still asleep. Their attention is occupied, and they are involved in their everyday scenarios, like in a film. Their thoughts are unclear and their actions non-conscious. You could say they live as if they were characters in a film. You, unlike the others around you, have woken up in the dream, as if you had stepped from the screen down into the cinema hall. At any moment, you can leave, return to the movie, and walk around freely among the other characters, regardless of the narrative. When you are in this state, you may come across to others as a little otherworldly. They vaguely sense that there is something odd about you, but cannot say what exactly. Don't worry, they're not aware that they are treating you with a certain friendliness and curiosity, and you don't let on that you know something they don't. Do you know where their friendliness towards you comes from, especially in those who you don't know? To them, you are like a firefly in a land of shadows. When you are in a state of conscious awareness, your energy flows differently. It can't be seen physically, but it can be felt subconsciously. Just by walking through a waking dream, at the very least, you will attract the attention and goodwill of those around you. You can make new friends and spend the time in pleasant conversation. But that is just the start. Be smart. Learn to drive reality. If you don't drive yourselves mad first. Hey, okay, don't worry, my little ones. First entry into reality. Well, my dears, if you have already walked through a waking dream, you should now be clear that the comparison of reality to a motion picture is no simple allegory. You really were there as a living character, while the other participants continued to move around as if they were sleeping and following some kind of external script. The comparison may not seem wholly fitting. After all, we all understand that people sleep in bed at night and during the day operate more or less consciously. However, you saw for yourself how negligible this proportion of more or less is when you noticed your own attention constantly falling into either the internal or the external screen. You undoubtedly saw this and now know how it happens. From now on, whenever you go for a walk in the dream, you will catch yourself continually falling back into the screen and drifting off to sleep again. Something distracted you, caught your attention, or you started thinking about something and that's it. You cease to exist as an aware human being. You can't even call your soul your own. So who owns it? Who are you taking orders from? You are being directed by an external script woven into a motion picture, in which you are now one of the characters. I shall gradually explain what all this means, all in good time. For now, you must be clear about one simple thing. Both in sleeping and in waking, you are in a film being carried along in the flow of the script. You can't call your soul your own because your attention is not your own. The moment you wake up and take control of your attention, the script will lose its hold on you. Of course, you have to go to work and attend classes as usual and fulfill your day-to-day obligations, but not as strictly as when you are directed by the script. Unlike the other characters around you who are sleeping, you see yourself, you see reality, and you can consciously control your will, which you haven't been doing before now. This is your first step into a new level of self-mastery and mastering of your own reality. You have woken up from ordinary sleep many times, but you have not yet tried reaching a higher level, right? In an ordinary dream, you are helpless, even if you are aware that you are dreaming. You are inside a film and completely gripped by the story because your attention is immersed in the screen. But unlike the other characters, you are capable of dragging your attention up another level, i.e., waking up in the dream and even going 2 levels higher and waking up in reality. The characters in a dream can't do this. How are they different to waking people? They have no self-awareness, they have no sense of personal identity, they have no personal will. They are not free to act as they see fit. They are subject to the script. They have no soul. They are simply templates. Mannequins. When you learn to wake up in the dream, try the following experiment. Ask a dream mannequin this question: who are you? They will try and avoid the question, or will tell you what their role in the script is, but they won't say, I am myself. They don't have their own self. In the same way, you could ask the mannequin, do you know that I am sleeping now and am seeing you in a dream? This question will throw them too, because they have never fallen asleep and never woken up. The dream mannequin lives in a film just like a fictional character, once shot on a film roll. The only difference is that a normal film is shot by normal people, whereas the film rolls of dreams are stored in the eternity archive. They have always been there and always will be for as long as this universe exists. Living people have a soul, will, and self-perception. They can say, I am myself, although that is all they can say about themselves. Living people are aware of themselves, but their self-awareness, as you have seen for yourself, sleeps, and their will is used rarely when they need to mobilize themselves to take some kind of action. And what's more, the will is used only within the context of the current frame, but we'll talk about this a little later. I have already done you a great honor spending so much time with you, my little fit-for-nothings. Make the most of this moment. Admire me, praise me, flatter me. I am Tufti, your high priestess. Tracking your attention. And so, my dear ones, let's repeat what we've covered so far. In your usual state of consciousness, you are characters in a film. If your attention is not your own, your soul is not your own. You are directed by an external script, which wires you into the film. I use these terms so that it will be more accessible for you, because in sleeping and waking life, you do pretty much the same thing. You watch the film and take part in it as a character with a set role, without the right to spontaneous behavior. If you still doubt that your actions are bound rather than autonomous, look at your attention. Where was it just now? To whom did it belong? Not to you, do you see? Then to whom and for what? To the very same script. You, or rather yourself, is your attention. If you do not control yourself, the script directs you. Whether when you are sleeping or in waking life, it's the same either way. A dream is the same as reality, and reality is the same as a dream. Let's say that life is a waking dream, and an ordinary dream is a sleeping dream. A dream can be conscious or non-conscious. In the unconscious dream, you are as stupid and helpless as little bunnies. But take control of your attention, and you will come alive in the film, acquiring the ability to act willfully as you see fit. You become a responsible, sane character who can freely roam around in the dream. You have already tried it in waking life. With time, you will learn to do the same in your sleep. However, it is much more important to have this ability in waking life because even though the film of sleep has a real film roll in the eternity archive, it is still virtual. Life, on the other hand, is real. In life, you either helplessly kick your legs about in someone else's script, or you implement your own. The only thing stopping you from doing this is your habit of falling into the inner and outer screen. Your attention won't stay long in the center of awareness. This is quite normal for you. But what you can do, ugly fit for nothings that you are, is to develop the new habit of returning your attention to the center. Setting out for a stroll through the dream, tell yourself that you won't forget, that you must wake up. Literally set yourself this goal. Otherwise, it will completely slip your mind that you were meant to be focusing on something. If you are lazy and forgetful, you won't learn anything. While on your walk, you will need to catch yourself as you constantly fall and drift off. Don't worry. Don't give up. Just bring your attention back over and over again. Arrange to track your attention with your attention itself. That is, yourself. There's no need to try and hold your attention at the center all the time without taking a break. The meaning and value of this exercise lie in something else, your ability to respond to what is happening. Usually, any event, even the most inconsequential, draws you into the outer film or into the inner concerns. Whatever the situation, it lulls you into sleep. Now you need to develop the reverse habit, not to fall asleep, but to wake up. Any event, even the slightest whiff of your environment, should put you on your guard. Take it as a signal to awaken. Likewise, any action you take should remind you that you need to check your focus of attention. You have 2 triggers for this. Outer. As soon as something happens, you wake up. And inner. Before you do something, you wake up. Examples of external triggers. You meet with someone asks you for something happened close to you, it doesn't matter what, some kind of sound, any kind of movement, anything that previously attracted and engaged you. As soon as something happens, focus your attention on it, but don't lose control of your attention. Keep it at the center. Examples of internal triggers. You're getting ready to go somewhere, to do something, to talk to someone. Before you take any action at all, bring your attention to the center. Specifically before, because afterwards it will be too late. You will simply discover that you fell asleep, then woke up to remember that you were sleeping. All this can only be learned through frequent repetition, like in the martial arts. There is no other way. On the other hand, when you learn to control the focus of your attention, you will be able to control your piffling life, and then perhaps your life will stop being so piffling. For now, I give you a warning. You have woken up in a dream, acquired strength and awareness, while those around you continue to sleep. Do not think this advantage makes you superior. Don't treat others with arrogance or condescension. This prerogative belongs solely to me because I am Tufti, your priestess, and you are my subjects who must listen to me and admire me unstintingly. Do you? Look at me. Composing reality. So, my dear pretties, you now have a greater understanding and have learned something. See, I praise you too. In our last lesson, we studied how to track attention. Set yourself the goal of remembering to track your attention. As soon as something happens, you wake up. Before doing anything, you wake up. If you do this, you will develop the habit of controlling your attention and eventually your life. But this does not give you the right to look down on those who are asleep. Observe them quietly without giving away that you know something they don't. Pretend that you are also asleep. This goes for all walks, both in waking and in sleeping. Remember, before entering the dream, you should be well disposed toward others. Otherwise, you will be punished. A superior, arrogant, disdainful, insolent, pompous, stuck-up, finicky, smart-aleck know-it-all will get a clip around the ear. Not from me, but from reality. Don't expect such an honored privilege from me. Now listen. At our first meeting, I said this phrase, reality is what has never been and never will be, and only is in the here and now. Reality exists only for a single moment, like a frame on a film roll, which moves from the past into the future. What are we meant to understand by this? This means that in any moment, only the immediate impression of reality, the illuminated frame, is ever real. Everything else is virtual, the past as well as the future, and it is all stored forever in a film archive where everything is recorded. Everything that has been, that will be, and ever may be. The past and the future are both information. Information is intangible. You can't touch it, but the media that carries the information is material and can be opened. This is how clairvoyants look into the past and tell the future. The film archive truly exists, although it is intangible like the ether. Ether substance hangs in the dream space, Both in sleeping and in waking reality, the dream space is whole. In your sleep, what you see is what could be, either past or future. But whether it happened or will happen is not a foregone conclusion, as the variants are infinite in number. What might happen in a dream could also take place in waking reality and vice versa. In this sense, the dream space is a single film archive. You can watch it and you can exist within it, both in a dream and in waking, but you only actually exist in each frame once. Each subsequent frame is a new realization, an upgrade of everything living and non-living, right down to the level of the atom. Only the souls of living beings remain unchanged. They are capable of watching the films of dreams and moving along the film roll of reality, together with the frame. So your self is the same as it was in the past, as when it flew about in your dream when you were asleep, and as it will be in the future. Our world exists in animate as well as inanimate form. Life is embedded like inclusions in a material reality. Reality is an inanimate substance. Life is animate, and life can influence the course of reality. Life can compose reality. The last point, my little knights, is the most important thing you need to understand. To compose reality means to choose the film roll and determine the direction in which the frame is moving. You have this opportunity, but you don't use it, just as you fail to use your capacity for directing the focus of your attention. You have to compose reality ahead of time instead of fighting the current circumstances of your life. But what do? You try and change your reality within the current frame. Do you understand what you are doing? Again, what is the actuality of life? Is it that which has never been and never will be and is here and now? The actuality of life only exists to the extent that it has already occurred. You cannot change what has already happened. But that is what you are trying to do, because everything that surrounds you is that which has already happened. The present differs very little from the past. The past is long gone, and the present exists only for a brief moment, so you can't change that either. While you are in the present moment, you are in effect continually in the past because your attention is enmeshed in the current frame. The illusion grabs hold of you and keeps you from entering the future, which is why the future isn't up to you. You might think that you are conscious of what you are doing, that you are taking decisive action, solving problems, and achieving your goals. But all this is happening in the current frame in a non-conscious state. And so the script carries you along a film roll that you did not choose. All you are doing, really, is helplessly twitching your paws. That's who you are, my sweets, my pumpkins. It's exhausting being with you. The intention plate. As always, my precious ones, we will recap what we did last time. The actuality of life is that which has already occurred. You cannot change what has already happened, and nonetheless, you try and change your given reality in the current frame, which is why the future does not depend on you. What do you need to do? Setting reality ahead of time instead of fighting the actuality of your current life. Much of this will sound quirky to you as for the first time you came across a reality that is unfamiliar and strange. It's still all the same, your reality, to which you are accustomed, but somehow different. Baffling, right? Listen to what I'm saying, and don't bother me with questions. Why the film roll archive exists, and who shot the films to capture them for eternity, isn't given to snotty pookies like yourselves to understand. Be grateful to the High Creator that you are allowed to move with the frame, for that is quite something. But you are seriously slacking in your development. You're not even using what you already have. Let me remind you what it means to move with the frame. As you know, the past cannot be changed. Forget about the present, too. It has already occurred and is of no interest to you. On the other hand, you have the opportunity to compose the future, to choose the film roll along which the next frame will move. How? You have two control functions, attention and intention. We have already dealt with attention. This accounts for your state of awareness. Intention accounts for your actions. In order to undertake something, you must first take into your head the idea of it. When you actually come to execute your conceived idea, your intention is realized through action. However, all your actions pertain to the current frame and are realized there because your intention is wedged inside it. It is just the same as when your attention gets glued to one of the screens. And just as attention has two screens, there are two intention centers, inner and outer. The inner center is responsible for all your basic functionality and is located in the frontal part of the skull. This is your petty intention. When you concentrate, you wrinkle your forehead. When you intend to do something, you tense your muscles. Your muscles allow you to carry out primitive activities in the current frame. The outer center, you totally neglect to make use of, even though it accounts for the movement of the current frame. You can determine instantly where the outer center is located, right now. Every single one of you has an intention plate. It is an energy plexus similar to an ordinary plate. You can't see it, but you can feel it like a phantom limb, which used to be there but is not anymore. Rather than hanging straight down, it sticks out at an angle to the spine. It's a really funny kind of plate. The outer intention center is at the tip of the plate. It is a spot between the shoulders, only not flat to the spine, but a little away from it. You will find the precise spot intuitively. The exact distance is of no significance. It is enough to focus your attention on it, and you will feel where it is. If you can't feel it yet, read the chapter Plate with Flow, and then you will get it. The principle of the outer center is very simple. You transfer your attention to the end of the plate and imagine the picture of any event you would like to attract into your life. This illuminates the future frame, and what you visualize becomes manifest in physical reality. You may ask, my sweets, how this is possible. It is very simple, and yet you did not know about the plate or how to use it. The thing is that you are bogged down in the current slide, big time. You are used to looking at what your eyes can see, but they only see what's right in front of you, and you feel that you can only do something about the things your eyes can see. So where are your eyes focused? In the outer screen. When something is not going right, you immerse yourself in the inner screen of your thoughts and feelings. And what are all your thoughts and feelings about? Again, about everything that you can see and everything that is happening to you. This means that your attention is not your own, and your intention is subordinate to a script that is not your own. You are capable of coming up with the idea for your own script. It's just that you don't know how to bring it to life. Sometimes you dream of what you would like your future to look like, yet the future frame can only be illuminated from the external intention center, whereas you are accustomed to using the inner petty center. The current slide is your illusion and a trap. That's how it is. Okay, don't cry, my sweets, my darlings. Don't get your plates in a twist. I will teach you how to escape the trap and how to work with a plate. You will learn. Hey, it'll be fun. How to work with a plate. Chop, chop, hurry, hurry, my pitiful ones. A new lesson, but first, a recap so far. Intention has two centers, inner and outer. The inner center is located in the forehead, the outer at the tip of the plate. Inner intention accounts for everyday activities in the current frame. Outer intention is capable of moving the future slide, composing reality. You do want to learn to compose reality, don't you? Of course you do. Good. So let's say you have a dream. There's a saying in folklore, it does no harm to dream, which hints that it is also useless to dream. Does this mean that the silly saying is true and that my snotties have nothing to hope for? I will explain to you in the next lesson why dreams don't come true. For now, we will move directly to the technique. First, do it. Then you will understand. That's the best way to learn. Now, listen carefully. First, wake up and log into the awareness point. As usual, say to yourself, I see myself and I see reality. Second, activate the plate. Feel it. Here it is. As soon as you focus your attention on the plate, it instantly rises up at an angle to your spine and is activated. Third, without taking your attention away from the plate, imagine a picture of the future. In your thoughts, in words, on the screen, as well as you can, compose your reality. You may notice that when you activate the plate, your eyes shift into a different gear. Try and feel that. You have raised your plate. Now what happens to your eyes? They become a little wider as if they are beginning to shine. This is a new, unfamiliar mode of being for you. Previously, you just watched the outer film and surrendered yourself to it. Now, you can turn the film roll independently. Once again, this is how. You've woken up, focused your attention on the plate, and then, keeping your senses attuned to the plate, you imagine what you desire as if it were depicted on the screen. That is how you illuminate the future frame and how to make it manifest in physical reality. Later, you'll learn how to do this instantaneously in a single movement. The plate works like a film projector. You can turn your little I wants and if onlys on the inner screen as much as you like, but it won't be very effective. Practically a misfire. The projector runs at full capacity in the moment that your thoughts, words, and images originate from the outer intention center. So if you want to do more than just wallow in your own thoughts, if you want to influence how your reality is shaped, turn on the plate. It is not essential to keep your attention totally focused on the tip of the plate. It is enough to sense it, like you would a phantom limb. However, you can activate it whenever you wish. The specific sensations are a very personal thing. You don't have to pay attention to the eyes. You can keep them closed or be completely blind. It doesn't make any difference. What is important is that the thoughts, words, and images are in tandem with the plate. So, my bunnies, my little fish, you're just a step away from becoming rulers of the universe. I'm filled with such awe that I don't know whether to swoon or bow in reverence. Go on, surprise me with your abilities. First of all, though, you must surprise yourself, and for that, you must acquire the practical skills needed to control the moving frame. We'll begin with the basics, the fulfillment of immediate desires. Let's say, on the film roll of the day, a certain event is looming, which could have a successful or an unsuccessful outcome for you. To start with, take the simplest thing that will fit into one frame. This could be, for example, making a purchase, finding a parking space, any everyday task at work, university, outside, or at home. You have the power to insert the frame into a successful film roll. You already know what to do. You wake up, activate the plate, and without losing a sense of the plate, you imagine that what you desire is coming true. Then you can let go of the feeling of the plate and continue to operate as normal. Repeat the act of illuminating the frame a few times over, just to make sure. You will see for yourself what follows. Keep your diapers dry. Don't wet yourself in the process. You experience very mixed feelings when you understand that something has taken place that is impossible. You will find it hard to believe that outer reality surrenders to your will. Usually the opposite happens, and you are subject to external reality. The statistics for your successful experiments depend, wait for it, on your sense of the reality of what is happening. Your criterion for reality is routine and habit. Anything is real if it has happened several times. Something that has never happened cannot be real, right? In other words, for you, things are only possible if they fit into the mold of your worldview. If you don't know that it is possible to ride a bike with two wheels, you wouldn't be riding one. It's exactly the same with the movement of the frame. You won't be able to control it while you believe it to be unrealistic. So what can you do to make it real? You will find out very soon, my darlings. Again and again, over and over, my sweeties. Repetition. Your pain, my gain. Let's recap what you need to do. Wake up, activate the plate, hold the feeling, compose reality. Whether it works or not depends on whether you accept or negate what is happening. It is only possible if it fits into the mold of your worldview. You are relatively primitive beings. Nothing can happen to you that does not fit with how you perceive the world and yourself within it. All sorts of incredible things happen in your dreams, but simply because you reduce your standards of critical assessment. In waking, it's the opposite. Everything has to be rigorously reconciled with the mold, so your ability to move the frame depends on whether you can concede the possibility with certainty or whether you remain in doubt of its viability. Performing simple miracles will be easy for you. You will be able to create anything that corresponds with your everyday routine experience. Your experience is what consolidates the mold. More complex movements of the frame require new content to be spliced in. I will repeat the same thing many times, over and over, again and again, until you understand. And if you don't understand, I will order you to chop off your head. I can do without idiots. All right, don't cry, my feeble ones. Now, listen on. Once previously, I said, the script carries you along a film roll that you did not choose. Broadly speaking, the film roll is your lifeline and the script is your fate. You don't choose your fate, and not only that, you don't even try and change it, although you could. You are foolish to console yourselves with the hope that fate, although preordained, is still in your hands. In fact, it's a lot worse than that. You are being led by a harsh script. It only appears to you that you take action as you see fit. It sounds plausible, but it's still an illusion. Not only what you see, but the things you do can be illusory. You won't be able to see through this kind of illusion because you are constantly in it. Do you remember we talked about the dream mannequins? Mannequins inhabit the pictures of your dreams, like the heroes of a motion picture, once shot onto a roll of film. You watch a dream and the mannequins move. You watch a film and the heroes come to life. As soon as the film or dream is over, all the characters freeze until the next viewing, or otherwise, forever. Do you think that the characters in a motion picture or computer game are aware that they are in a film and that you are watching them? No. Are the dream mannequins aware that you are seeing them in a dream? Again, no. And now I am asking you, do you know who they are? You can't ask the characters in the film. You could ask the mannequins, but there's not much point. You are different from the former and the latter in that you can at least dimly grasp the meaning of the question, and also in that you are able to be self-aware. But when are you self-aware? Only in the moment that you ask yourself this question. The rest of the time, where are you? Who are you? You are the characters in a film roll, in the life that is happening to you. You don't live your life happens to you. Neither the dream mannequin nor the hero of the motion picture are capable of distinguishing the illusion of their actions, or more precisely, the illusion of action occurring. So why would you think that you would be capable of doing so? No, you are, of course, capable, my clever ones, and yet you don't. All the time that you aren't asking yourself the question, where are you and who are you? You are just exactly as lacking in rational understanding as the characters of a film or a dream. Your attention is constantly immersed in one of the screens, and your intention in the current frame. So your motives and actions are not in fact yours. Do you see? What happens literally is the following. At a certain point in time, you start to want something, and you struggle to do whatever it is. You think that these are your own motives and actions, whereas, in fact, they are spelled out in the script. You might think that you had the idea for something, but in actual fact, this is just the story twist for your role. You're consumed by current reality to such an extent that you stop being aware of what you're doing and fail to see through the illusion. You have your own mannequins in the films stored in the Eternity Archive. When you watch one of these films in a dream, your consciousness finds a mannequin, which comes to life and starts moving. As long as you are having the dream, you are living in the body of a dream mannequin as one of multiple different variants. Take a look in a mirror sometime when you're in a dream. You won't recognize yourself. In the film roll along which your life is running, it is exactly the same. Your consciousness enters the next version of the dummy, which comes to life and becomes you in the current frame. But here's the question. How are you different to the dream mannequins if in waking life, you live as if you were in a dream? And generally speaking, what makes you any better than a snail? Repulsive, slimy snails, which respond equally as primitively to all external stimuli. They tuck away their horns and hide in a little house. Your fate is as predetermined as you are predictable. Even the little that you have learned so far, my dears, is incomprehensible to you because it does not fit the mold of your worldview. And as long as it remains inaccessible to you, you will be free in dreams and bound in your fate. But when, finally, you see the light and ditch the illusion, you will be able to stroll through reality, like a living being inside a film. And you will be able to pick a new reality, like choosing a reel from the archive. And now an interlude. I am exiting my film and setting off for a book. I'll see you there. Bye for now, snails. How to escape a trap. Pleasure before business, my little buffoons. Who said the opposite? Your pain is my gain, or even my amusement. So, there is the illusion of image and there is illusion of action. Motion is not what you do, but rather what is happening. You are not living your life. Life is happening to you. You are directed by a strict script, and for this reason, you are free to daydream but bound in your choice of fate. What other insulting things can I say to you? I'll remind you of the main point of the previous lesson. You might think that you are your own master and that you act consciously. In actual fact, you are only aware of yourself in the moment that you ask yourself this question. The remainder of the time, your awareness sleeps and surrenders to the outer script. The ability to show self-awareness for a single moment won't free you from the script. You are characters inside a film, and this is simultaneously an illusion and a trap. Regardless of how much you might think of yourself, that is where you are, and the trap has its hold on you. What is stopping you from escaping? Mainly 3 things. 1, ignorance of the fact that you are a character. 2, a reflexive psyche, or snail horns. And 3, the mold, limited by notions of the possible and the impossible. Look livelier, livelier, happier, happier, amphibians. Everything can be put right. You already have the first thing you need to escape. This is very important, because anyone who is ignorant of the illusion remains in it forever. Nobody has told you about the illusion of action, and you never had an inkling because such a thing, in your opinion, is impossible. Now you know, but this is not enough. Let's say you're a snail and you have learned about the illusion. Would you then stop being a snail? If you cry, "Oh, what a misfortune! I don't want to be a snail," will anything change? No. You cannot just come to life in a motion picture and start doing whatever you want without following the script. Here a slightly different approach is needed. There are still 2 hurdles that must be overcome: habits and views. In actual fact, you don't possess these things, they possess you. But that's okay, we'll drag you out of the coma yet. You are made snails by the habit of waiting and hoping for something to happen rather than composing your own reality. Will it come off or not? Will it work out or not? This is a passive position. From this position, all you are capable of doing is giving reality a prod and pulling back your horns at the slightest little thing. In order to stop being wet and snotty and become beautiful and happy, you need to shift into active gear. Not wait and hope, but compose your reality. Your mold is an obstacle, as it tells you that it is impossible to compose your own reality. This is your little house, but I'll drag you out of it, nasty and slippery though you are. New habits and views are developed just exactly as the old ones took root, through multiple repetitions. Only from now on, instead of staring at reality and following it, you will actively control the movement of the frame. Can you guess which frame? Not the one in which you find yourself in the present moment, but the one that is coming up. As you already know, you can't change the reality of the current frame because it has already come into being. You can only specify the nature of the reality that is yet to come. So your attention should be focused several frames ahead. Just like when you tracked your attention, now you will need to track the forthcoming frame. For this, there are 3 triggers. Expectation. Something is going to happen. You are waiting, hoping for something. Intention. You intend to set off somewhere or do something. Problem. Something happened that needs resolving. Whenever you expect something, don't wait or hope. Compose reality. Whenever you intend to do something, don't rush to get on with it. First, compose reality. Whenever a problem arises, again, don't wait, don't hope, don't fuss. Compose your reality. Frame illumination method. 1. Catch yourself at one of the triggers. 2. Wake up. I can see myself and I can see reality. 3. Activate the plate. Hold the feeling. Compose reality. 4. Drop the feeling off the plate. If the event is very important to you, repeat the illumination several times. Try to remember and constantly think about the forthcoming frame. It won't work for you every time. At first, you will keep forgetting. Old habits aren't that easy to unstick. You have to see it out and replace it with a new one. Don't be lazy, be smart, get on with it, or else I'll see you out. You're good for nothing. Nobody loves you except for me. Reprogramming. Don't get all steamed up. Don't get steamed up, my dears. Mug up. Let's repeat what we've covered so far. The snail horns and house keep you trapped in the current frame. To free yourself from the trap, you must shift into active gear. Don't wait and hope, compose reality. Requirements. Constantly practice managing the upcoming frame. Method. Expectation, intention, problem, immediate activation, and frame illumination. Compose events in which the outcome is unknown, but also compose things that are likely to come true. For example, you are going somewhere and intend to go through a door. You know that this event will happen anyway. Nevertheless, illuminate this frame. Imagine it in your thoughts, in words, and even better, visually, opening the door and walking through it. Don't be lazy, don't be lazy. Do you think that you can hide in your house and no one will see you? I'll get you either way. Why do we need endless repetition? In order to rewire the snail mold. You won't believe that reality will succumb to your will until you see it for yourself. Moreover, repeatedly. Controlling frame movement in small-scale events is the most effective training method, as a result of which you will learn to wake up and control your attention, develop your plate, visualization skills, and intention, switch into active gear, and eventually acquire the ability to free yourself from the dominant script and compose your own reality. What happens when you activate yourself? You become the only character in your entire environment who is not subject to the external script. And failing that, as soon as you lose yourself and become immersed in the motion picture, you instantly identify with it, becoming its integral part. Moreover, a dependent, imitative part. A mannequin. But once again, you drag your attention away from the current frame and illuminate the upcoming frame. In this moment, you come alive in the motion picture and start moving freely at your own discretion. Now you still occupy the same mannequin, but in a totally different capacity. Imagine a mannequin in a shop stepping down from the display window and going about its business. This is roughly what happens to you. You are still in the motion picture as before, but at the same time you are taken out of the sequencing, as if your individual frame could move freely along the film roll. Let's just say now your frame frequency is different from the frequency of reality frames, which enables you to free yourself up from the confines of the dominant script. Have you ever seen in a movie or on TV what a spinning wheel or propeller looks like? It appears to spin instantly or turn in the opposite direction because the spinning blade frequency and interval are quite different to the frame interval. Similarly, your attention and plate manipulations place you in a different frequency and interval to reality. In this sense, you can move freely about the film. The yet-to-be-released future drags you from the sequence of the present when you take hold of that future and try to affect it. The impending reality, though written in the eternity archive, is always multivariant and has not been totally defined or composed by anyone. Nobody owns it yet. When someone turns up, who will compose a variant of it, then that future surrenders to their instruction. And if that someone is you, it becomes yours. Do you want reality to be yours? So take it and compose it as you wish. This is a fundamentally new approach to your reactions, behavior, and existence. The difference is that your attention will no longer get stuck in the current frame, but strive ahead instead. Observance is replaced by advance, and passive waiting by agency. You no longer string along with reality as if on a leash, but direct it, driving it forward. But before your desired reality can become the physical reality of your daily life, you, my head choppers, must get yourself a reprogramming. I can't do this for you. You may not get it perfect straight away. You will only be able to create what agrees with your everyday routine experience. Until you finally believe that you are capable of composing reality, it will slip away from you unyielding. The only way of recasting the mold is the same way it was created in the first place, through daily, mundane practice. Track the impending frame, track yourself, compose reality. If you do as I tell you, reality will do as you tell it. It is best to carry out regular, multiple repetitions until it becomes a habit. Otherwise, you won't learn anything. And if you don't learn, I will remove your houses and turn you into even more horrible creatures. Slugs. I am Tufti, your owner, and I do with you what I wish. Transformation. Hear, hear, my wet-eared crookshanks. That's it. Come out of your houses, gather round, and let's recall the previous lesson. The method of awakening and illumination detaches you from the script. You are mannequins, step down from the window, going about your business. You are still in the film, but at the same time, you have dropped out of the sequence. Having detached yourself from the film roll, you can create your own film. Controlling the frame movement for simple events is your training and reprogramming. It is also your transformation. You will gradually transform from snails to fireflies. When you illuminate the frame, you radiate an inner light, and the desired events fly to you like moths to a light. Luminescent creatures looking forward. That is how the Creator conceived of you. And so you once were before you got stuck in the motion illusion. Much has been lost, but some things can be restored. Do you want to be a firefly? Then lively, track the impending frame. Track yourself, compose your reality. Those around you, those who are still snails, will extend their horns toward you and move closer out of curiosity. You won't always make it work at first. You may understand that you are capable of composing reality, but in the depths of your consciousness, you will still have doubts. This means that the reprogramming is not yet complete. This is why training is essential to shift you into active gear, to get you used to looking ahead rather than down at your feet. And finally, no, not to kill you, though my hands are already itching to, but to convince you that you really can compose your own reality incredibly and breathtakingly. There is just one little thing. You must try without making an effort, my assiduous ones. Illuminating the frame successfully requires concentration, not effort. Can you concentrate for a couple of minutes? Well, just for a minute then? That's all that is required of you. Follow the illumination method in a calm, relaxed manner. You are not permitted to tense up. Not an option. Why? Because in making an effort, you will trigger your inner intention center, whereas reality, as we have already learned, is directed from the outer center. What do you usually do when you try your utmost? You try and fight the physical reality that is already in place. So what will you do in relation to the reality that is yet to become manifest? Exactly the same. It's a habit you have. You are all eager to change things to your liking, the way you want them to be. But you won't succeed in changing anything that is already physically manifest, or for that matter, anything that isn't yet manifest. How can you change a film that has already been shot? You can only choose the future, like a reel of film from an archive. Do you see the difference? Calmly and relaxed. Note that if your muscles become tense while you are illuminating the frame, this means that your petty intention is activated. You must work solely with the outer center, the plate. It is not something that you should exert or wield. The plate is activated easily and effortlessly. Remembering and sensing it, calmly concentrating on it, is enough. Next, without losing the sensation of the plate, focus on the frame composition. Visualize the picture you desire with ease, without trying too hard. Your muscles should be relaxed. You don't need them for this. They have nothing to do with it. Quiet concentration on the plate and the frame, that is what we need. Your task is not to force reality to obey you, but to allow it to come to you of its own accord. Don't force it. The principle is not to grab hold of reality, but to illuminate it with the outer center, the plate. You are simultaneously the film projector and the viewer. You project the frame from behind and watch the film playing out in front as if neither had anything to do with you. The outer center, you must have noticed, is both yours and not yours at the same time. You mustn't put pressure on the plate. Just activate it and then send out a current of thoughts from the plate, not from the front, but from behind. Not from the stubborn, stupid, out-of-habit forehead, but from the plate, you see. You are simply illuminating the frame. It materializes itself. That part has nothing to do with you. That's it. That's it. Why is it so important that it be nothing to do with you? I repeat again and again, my dears. It is so that the outer center works, not the inner center. The outer center involves a completely different instrument. Your outer center is closer to what is referred to as your higher self. The outer center is what directs you. The tip of the plate is your hook, by which you can be led like a mannequin. When you have no self-awareness, you are led by the script or by puppeteers who manipulate your consciousness. As soon as you regain self-awareness, your hook is again at your disposal, and you can propel yourself freely. In your usual state of consciousness, you don't propel yourself, just your hands and feet, trying to nudge everything that stands in front of you without taking into the account the fact that they have you by the scruff from behind. That is how the motion illusion arises. And now, you have hold of the hook yourself and begin to move reality without applying any effort, as if you weren't doing anything. What's happening then? The motion illusion is turned inside out. You aren't being moved about. You are moving yourself. You are not doing anything to reality. Reality is doing it of its own accord. That's how it is. That's how it is, my goody-goodies. The illusion is crumbling. Meta power. So how are you, my dears? Are you beginning to shine, or do you continue to be wet? Quick, transform. You were originally conceived to be luminescent creatures, looking ahead. Illuminating the frame successfully requires concentration, not effort. If the muscles are strained, the inner intention center has been triggered. Follow the illumination method in a calm, relaxed manner. Principle: do not force reality, allow it to be. Allow reality to carry out your assignment. Don't forget, you are just illuminating the frame. It materializes by itself. Very little is required of you. Compose reality and stand aside, like a third-party observer. Don't interrupt or get in the way. It is customary for you to think that all you have to do is apply some effort, and the future will yield, but this requires a different approach. Physical strength, like willpower, only works within the reality of the current frame. You can fight manifest reality with all your stupid strength as much as you like, but that won't work with forthcoming reality. This requires something else. You, my little maniacs, must understand, just as I must explain, that there is a flip side to power. Meta power. It is, in a sense, the opposite of force. Not weakness or apathy, but the power which acts from the other side of reality. For ease of understanding, take a look in a mirror. From the side where you are standing, everything is material and can be touched. On the other side, in the reflection, everything is intangible but equally as real. If there is an object, then there will be a reflection. Is the object real? Then the reflection must be real too. I'm explaining this to you so that you will understand that it is not only the things that can be touched that are real. The reality mirror is like a normal mirror, only it works the other way around. The image being reflected and the reflection itself change places. You can touch the reflection, but you can't touch the image. The reflection is on the front side facing the mirror glass, and the image is on the other side. The frontal side is physical reality, while the other side is the dream space of the film roll archive. As you already know, physical reality is like a frame which moves along a film roll, only the film roll is primary, and the film itself is secondary. And so physical reality is a reflection of the object located somewhere there on the other side. And there in the film reel archive, there are multiple versions of the future. Judge for yourself. If the future is located on the other side of the reality mirror, can one somehow influence it with usual force, which only works here on the front side of the mirror? Not an option. You could bust a gut with effort, but it still wouldn't work. Can you? Yes. You can. So as not to explode and to have the future you want, you must act from the other side of the mirror in accordance with the reality mirror rules, not the ordinary rules. So how do you get there, to the other side or the mirror glass? I have not mentioned it before, but you have in fact been there already. When in the process of waking up, you disengage from the script and practically fall into the world behind the glass. This cannot be seen overtly, And the reason it can't be seen is that the surface of the reality mirror is not a surface or wall as such, so much as an intangible transitional boundary between the object and the reflection. Everything is the same on both sides, and they look identical. Only one side, the image, is material, and on the other, it is not. On the frontal side of the mirror, there is your material mannequin, and on the other side, a virtual one. When you wake up, your attention passes through the mirror boundary into your virtual mannequin. It is your attention that moves, not your body. But this is sufficient because you are your attention. Both bodies, virtual and material, each on either side of the mirror, move in unison. It's a matter of where your attention is focused. If it is focused on the manifest frame, then you are totally engrossed in the script. If it is focused on the other side of the mirror, in the image frame, then you are free to move, both yourself and impending reality. When I say to propel yourself, I mean it in the sense that you are self-aware and arbitrarily in control of your own motives and actions. Inside the frame, you move in the usual way, with your hands and feet using physical force. However, you move reality in a completely different way, with attention, intention, and meta power. You will gradually come to understand what meta power is when you start to sense it. I would not be able to explain to you what physical force is if you had never tried using it. The same goes for meta power. You have to feel it and develop it. Your plate is your meta power tool. The frame illumination method is an exercise for developing meta power at the same time as being a way of composing the reality you desire. Next, I will describe in more detail the rules and principles of the world beyond the mirror glass. You will suss it all out, eventually fathom it all, but for now, don't forget to carry out the method more often. Do you want to learn to compose your own reality? Perhaps you don't want to. How could you not want to? What's this, a slave uprising? If that's the case, there will be sacrifices and offerings made, and very happy ones. Look at me. I am Tufti, your priestess. You will tolerate my despotism just as I tolerate the fact that I have to spend my time with snails, frogs, and other amphibians. Ooh la la. Imitating action. So, my songsters and dancers, let's carry on learning whose tune you are dancing to. Not only that which can be touched is real. Reality is a reverse mirror. Here the reflection, there the image. Physical reality is on the frontal side, whereas the film roll archive is on the reverse side. Physical force works in physical reality. Meta power works inside the mirror glass. On awakening, attention shifts to its virtual mannequin in the world inside the mirror. You must be a little confused by the notion of falling into some world beyond the mirror glass without even noticing it, and perhaps not just a little confused, but quite a lot. Don't worry, my trembling ones. You actually fall into the mirror world every night when you go to sleep. When you awaken in waking life, your attention stands at the awareness center. You, or more specifically, your self, appears in the body of a virtual mannequin on the other side of reality. In the moment that you become immersed in a dream, the same thing happens. The difference is that in waking, you have the reality on both sides of the mirror, the material and the virtual side. In a dream, reality and the mirror world are not concordant. The material world remains in place, whereas your attention flies far away into other worlds. Plus, the difference is that in a dream, you sink ever more deeply into the script, whereas you awaken in waking life. I see myself and I see reality. You free yourself from it. Remember we talked about the fact that when you are not self-aware, the script pulls you along by the tip of your plate? So who or what pulls about your physical mannequin on this side when your hook is at your disposal and you are simultaneously in a virtual mannequin in the mirror world? You pull yourself about. You acquire the ability to move things freely, both yourself and impending reality, precisely because you are in the mirror world, beyond the glass, on the same side as the image. Only the image can propel the reflection, and not the other way around. You see? Strictly speaking, the physical mannequin and material reality are not so much a reflection as a materialization of the image. One way or another, you can manage manifest reality, already occurred, from within the realization frame, from in front of the mirror. However, the impending reality is still just an image. The image can only be propelled from within the frame of the image. from the other side where the image is located. This requires shifting into the mirror world. Now the whole scenario should be clear to you. Here, in this manifest frame, we have to manage. There, we can direct. And now we come right to the notion of metapower. I feed my hope of even the faintest glimmer of understanding from you, my feeble-minded ones. Okay, don't complain, don't cry, my little whip smarts. What is the main difference between reality and the mirror world? Here, everything is material. There, it's all virtual. As far as force is concerned, you won't be able to apply it to an immaterial object or space, which is why here, what works is force, and there, what works is metapower. From this side of the mirror, action. From the other side of the mirror glass, the motion illusion. So what does this mean? The whole point of imitation is that you don't have the right to disrupt the established order of things. The order of things is such that you have to participate in the action and obey the script. Not a single character is permitted to jump out of the film strip or do whatever they please in the film. The script is not the result of any individual's subjective will. It is objective reality, which is something you're stuck with. Objective reality is such that you are doomed to exist within it, like characters in a film strip. You may not agree, you may complain, but there's nothing you can do about it. You may even try to defy it, but nothing will come of it. Whatever is shot on the film strip is what will occur. It is impossible to avoid the action, but you can imitate it. You can deceive reality. Imagine that you have entered the awareness point and found yourself on the other side of the mirror glass. Everything around you looks just the same as it did before. You don't feel as if you are observing events from somewhere beyond the glass. And yet, there you are. But now that you are there, you acquire the ability to compose reality and choose the film role, not change the one you are in, not refuse to participate in the action, but choose a different one, the one you want. Do you understand? As before, you will still continue to play the role prescribed for you in the script and to perform your daily functions. But unlike the other characters, while you remain in a state of awareness, you will get something more, the ability to replace the current film role. At the same time, you retain a certain perspective as if none of it were anything to do with you. The order of things has not been disrupted. You were neither spotted nor caught, and everything has turned out the way you want. This is the imitation game. You wander around a motion picture like a live character, making yourself out to be inert, and you change the reel as you see fit, and nobody suspects anything, neither the script nor the other characters. Besides, you can never avoid the script. It is just that by setting reality, you initiate a new one. The new script is not yours either. You are still within its power, but it will lead you to the desired result. Should you hide from the other characters? However much you may like to stand out, I do not advise that you advertise your abilities. In the Middle Ages, people were burned at the stake for such things, and today you could get tucked away in a quiet shelter somewhere. You are already a little loopy, so don't be sleepers. Don't give your presence away. Obey your priestess. I love you so much, I could kill you all. Being present. Hey, and away. Come to me, my cunning imitators and artful pretenders, secret maniacs and hidden super freaks. Did you enjoy the imitation game? Let's repeat what we've covered so far. Physical reality is accessible here in the materialization frame. Access to the future is open only from the other side in the image frame. You are doomed to exist in reality like characters in a film role. You cannot circumvent the script, but you can wake up and start another one. You change the film strip but continue playing a role while hiding your presence. Presence in a motion picture. What does that mean? Mostly it refers to the presence of your conscious awareness of being, yourself, your presence as a living, competent, and rational individual in an immutable motion picture. Although the film is spinning fast, it is already as predestined, as the behavior of all its characters is predetermined. Your presence there highlights you as awakened among the unawakened. You are consciously aware of your individuality and are aware of what is happening. Your behavior inside the film is also predetermined by the scenario. However, your presence gives you the opportunity to change the film role and switch from one to another. To achieve presence, you have to come alive, give yourself a shake, and determine your location, the image frame or the materialization frame. In other words, where is your attention focused? at the central awareness point, or on one of the screens. In essence, you are dual beings that can be both on this side of the mirror and the other. You are present here when you are there. It's a paradox. Failing that, you are absent. That is, you are in an incompetent state of non-awareness and entirely at the mercy of the script. Remember, I said, when you are awakened in waking life, your attention crosses the mirror boundary and ends up in your virtual mannequin. When you fall asleep in bed and see a dream, the same thing happens, only the quality of it is different. In your sleep, you can only propel virtual reality. You can't influence physical reality. It would be more accurate to say that you can, but it is very difficult, not a matter for snails. In a state of waking presence, you acquire the ability to compose impending reality, which will become physically manifest. You see, I keep repeating the thought so that you understand well that you can and should be composing your own reality. However, there is one thing which you must understand for yourselves. When you compose reality, you are determining the end goal, the impending frame, not a chain of events. Composing reality is about choosing the film roll, not about controlling the script. The script is beyond your power. You are not given to know what exactly the script should look like in order to bring you to your goal, and you don't need to know. You are working as a film projector. Once the goal frame is illuminated in your projector, the course of events will automatically turn out as they should. In choosing the film roll, you set a new script in motion. The script does not belong to you, but to the events that have been recorded on it. Moreover, without your knowledge. Only the goal frame is yours. The film roll chooses itself in accordance with a specified frame. You don't have to understand exactly how this happens. Illuminate your frame again and again, and you will shift from one roll to another until you eventually arrive at your destination. In the Eternity Archive, film rolls are arranged in parallel. The scripts of the film rolls placed most closely differ only in minor nuances. In composing reality, you gradually shift from one to another. First, you appear on a film roll where the result is close to the set goal, but not quite there yet. Then it gets closer and closer. All this takes place invisibly to the eye and at different realization speeds, depending on the complexity of the desired goal. Simple goals are reached almost immediately, whereas more challenging ones that require you to go far require time and patience. Your task is to focus your attention on the impending frame. The script is not a matter for your concern. If you try and set the script or resist it, you will get caught up in this trap. When trying to influence the course of events, you take the reality of the current frame in a death grip, which is pointless. The harder you hold on, the more tightly you will be gripped by the tail, by the plate, that is. Similarly, it is pointless trying to influence other people. Trying to manipulate others is a base, thankless task. It can end up knocking you sideways or even creating the opposite effect to the one you wanted. Characters act according to their own script. Trying to influence them, you fall into a trap again. Don't do it. They will come running to you themselves and do everything that you want them to. More on that later. I repeat that you need to influence the end result, the impending frame, not events or other people, although you will still try to do so, mainly out of habit. You always persist in having everything go according to your plan, but I will win this habit off you as well. How stuffy and pushy you are. I would gladly dissect you all. I would staple you to watercolor paper like harmful insects, or roll you in a jar with formalin and make an example of you to all the other creatures. I advise you to behave decently. Don't forget, I am Tufti, your priestess. Praise me, worship me, and do not dare anger me. Advantage. I am so bored of you. You are so spoiled, so capricious. That's what you are. But just you so much as hint that you've had enough of me. Let's repeat the lesson now. You are dual beings, capable of being on both sides of the mirror. You are present here when you are there. To be present, you have to shift your attention to the center. In the condition of being present, you are capable of jumping from one film roll to another. Composing reality is not about controlling the script, but choosing the film roll. The desire to influence the script binds you to it. Once again, let's consolidate what we've covered so far. You need to influence the final result, the forthcoming frame, not events and people. All you have to do is illuminate the goal frame, and the course of events will unfold as they should. The script does not belong to you. It is never yours, even when you think that it is your idea. If you try to change it or oppose it, the script will trap you. The script is like a spider's web. The more you wriggle, the more you become entwined. For the script to let you go, you have to let go of the script. You can never be entirely free of the script. Remember when we spoke about imitation? I told you that the script is not the result of anyone's subjective will, but an objective reality from which there is no escape. And yet there is no need to escape. The script will always work towards your goal if you set one. When you compose reality, the script rearranges itself to fit your composition, even if you cannot perceive this happening. All you have to do is systematically illuminate the goal frame. But you will persist in having everything run according to your plan, and in this, you hinder the implementation of what you have imagined. And even when you do not actively compose reality, passively drifting along the current of events, the script isn't out to harm you, because causing harm is energetically costly. The script always takes the path of least resistance, but you resist, and so you spoil everything. You spoil things in as much as you express non-acceptance. In this way, unconsciously and without deliberately meaning to, you compose for yourself a worse reality than the existing one, albeit not as effectively as you would with intention and awareness. You condescend to express your dislike every time something contradicts your expectations and plans. That's how you are, irritating and tedious. So, to avoid distorting reality instead of turning it into a wonderful world that is pleasant in all respects, you will need to make a habit of one simple principle. Find the advantage in everything. Literally try and take the advantage from any disappointing situation, and generally from any event that causes you the slightest feeling of aversion. Set yourself the goal of reaping the benefit. Any event or situation in life is made up of the negative and the positive. Reality is dual in nature. Where there is black, there you will find white. Your task, instead of wrestling with it and being single-minded and stroppy, is to set about seeking the advantage in any situation. I won't give examples, just try it and you'll understand instantly just how brilliantly this approach works. But in order for it to work, as you must understand already, it is essential that you wake up and shift your attention to the center. The triggers here are mainly external. Someone says something or does something, or something is happening or being done around you. Anything that evokes a feeling of non-acceptance, from slight displeasure to rage. Interesting, what does a raging snail look like? The feelings activated include irritation, depression, anxiety, aggression, and fear. The attention is shifted to the center in order to disengage from the script on the current film roll and skip to another, alternative one. The fact is that your usual script affects your standard film roll. You give a knee-jerk reaction to your noxious character or your propensity to be negative, or your habit of being defensive, or elevated opinion of yourself, or simply because nothing is going the way you want it to. As a result, usually, you make life difficult for yourself and others. On the alternative film roll, in contrast, everything turns out to your advantage because you stopped at the right moment and made that advantage your choice. It is very simple. What you choose is what you get. In order to make the choice, all you have to do is think for a moment and ask yourself, what might be the advantage of this? And then, from then on, try and follow the script rather than resist it. Literally, take the piece of advice, listen to the opinion, agree, go for something, accept whatever you would previously have rejected or seen as a cause for conflict. The advantage method is the following. 1. Catch yourself playing out the non-acceptance activator. 2. Wake up. I see myself and I see reality. 3. Ask yourself the question, what advantage might there be in this? 4. If an answer comes to you, accept it and reap the benefit. 5. If nothing comes to you, try and accept the situation for what it is. The last point might sound questionable to you. After all, not everything in life is acceptable, and there is not necessarily an advantage to every situation. Suppose that someone is about to beat you round the head. What are you supposed to do? Hold it out for them to take another swipe? Nonetheless, in reality, there is one immutable law. The law has it that if you take seeking advantage as a guiding principle, in life, you will encounter fewer and fewer events that are harmful. This includes the kind of events that result in having a blue face and a cold body and lying in the morgue. Ooh la la. Allowing. So, my dears, my beauties, in our last lesson we learned that stupid snails always insist on their own script for the development of certain events, and that when something goes awry, they become resentful and even angry. But not in your case, right, my angels? The script will let you go when you let go of the script. Once a goal has been set, the script will arrange itself so that it is achieved. By insisting on your own plan, you get in the way of the design. By expressing non-acceptance, you compose a reality that is even worse. By choosing to seek advantage, you reap the benefit. Let's repeat the paradoxical example. Set the goal frame, not the script. It is paradoxical because it does not tally with your accustomed beliefs, that you can and should battle with your current reality, and that composing forthcoming reality is wrong and even impossible. In fact, it's the other way around. You can't know how the goal will be reached, and you don't need to know, particularly in the early stages of things, because if the probable answers to asking how plunge you into feelings of horror or despair, this will impose a psychological block on your ability to compose your target reality. You can't know exactly which script will lead to the accomplishment of precisely this goal in the context of your individual life. How could you know when you are a character in a film being led by a script? Your task is to know the result, what you want to achieve, and use your plate to compose the corresponding picture of reality in thoughts, words, and images. Then the script itself will lead you there and reveal the how. You don't even have to be clever. You can continue being dunce snails so long as you are driven, and competent, aware snails. Because once you have set the goal, the script could just shock you. You might think that everything is disastrous, whereas, in fact, old stuff you no longer need is being cleared out of your reality so that the free space can be filled with beautiful new things. It is quite possible that events in the script will unfold as if everything is falling apart at the seams, and then awareness will serve you very well so that you can apply the principle of advantage. Acting in accordance with this principle, you do not only avoid getting in the way of the script, you move toward the goal more quickly because in the moment of seeking the advantage, you detach yourself from your habitual, harmful script and jump to an advantageous film role, even without the plate. If you carry out the advantage method using the plate as well, you will move even better and even faster. And beyond that, you'll no longer be snails, but fireflies, the living heroes of a motion picture. Tracking advantage is one of the means of awakening. No event should hook you, but it should make you alert and serve as a call to wake up. Your task is to wake up in time, see reality, and then compose reality. Previously, the moment something is wrong, instantly, argh, you wave your hands and stamp your feet. Now, the moment something is wrong, you exclaim to yourself, or aloud as you like, advantage. And from now on, allow the world to do something nice for you, to help you, to bring you closer to your goal. This naturally does not mean that you must become the very epitome of allowing and bend over backwards for all and sundry. Of course, not everything carries an advantage, and it isn't always appropriate to allow and agree to certain things. Don't worry, you will be able to make an adequate decision whether to allow something into your life or not because you'll be in a competent state, i.e., I see myself and I see reality. In your normal state, how do you respond? Either you are up in arms or you are automatically obeying. You respond in both cases non-consciously, just following the script. The difference in the advantage method is that you make an informed choice, fully present, and hence walk into a Frozen movie as an animated character, at the same time as feigning lifelessness. The advantage principle is everything in one vial: tracking, imitation, being present, and composing reality. Performing the method, you track yourself, you track reality and set a course, which the next frame will follow. Seeking the advantage is an imitation in its purest form. You are still following the script, but you are doing it intentionally and consciously. Note that when you track the advantage, you need to look at reality askance. Nobody suspects anything, neither the script nor those around you. You, like all dormant beings, diligently play your role and carry out your daily obligations, at the same time observing what is happening out of the corner of your eye. You are fully present without giving away your presence. This is exactly what is needed, and it is very important to remain undetected as if nothing had anything to do with you. Why? Have you already forgotten why? Honestly, I explained it to you before. I'm going to repeat it many times yet, though. Behaving as if nothing had anything to do with you is the fundamental principle of a live stroll through a movie. Firstly, you don't give away your presence so that those around you won't treat you with wariness and suspicion. Pretend to be asleep. Secondly, do not act in the same direct manner as you are used to. That is, grabbing reality by the scruff of the neck, battling with the events and characters of the current frame, and as a result, plunging back into the script as in a dream. You are strolling live through a film when your attention is present, and you propel the upcoming frame with your intention and change the film roll. But what intention is that? The most important thing is that it's outer intention. By looking askance and staying as if nothing had anything to do with you, you activate the outer intention center. The script. Hello again, my fit-for-nothing creatures. You are so good for nothing and nasty because you have such a tendency to see more harm than good in life. But everything can be put right. Those who seek the advantage find it and become advantageous themselves. It is not your job to set the script and know the answer to how. Your job is to know what you want to achieve and to set the result, the goal frame. When it feels like life is falling apart, that is the advantage. Reality is being cleansed. You are walking through a film when your attention is fully present and you are propelling yourself with intention. Allowing is the work of external intention when nothing has anything to do with you. Wake up, see, compose. As soon as anything goes wrong, advantage. If you don't wake up in time and seek the advantage, in many cases you will understand what the advantage was in hindsight, but then it will be too late. You will understand when you look back and remember why and how you pushed against the situation and the opportunity you missed. Yes, you will keep forgetting and remembering too late many times until tracking your attention becomes a habit. And why do you constantly forget about your attention? Do you remember? Here's a riddle for you. What is the easiest and at the same time the most important question that torments snails, even without them realizing that it torments them? There's no point in frowning at me. You won't guess. Why aren't things the way I want them to be? That is the question. So what is the answer? It is because you are being led by the script, because you are unaware of the fact, because you don't compose reality yourself, but simply exist within it, like a fish in an aquarium, or more precisely, like snails. The fact that you are constantly in a vegetative state and only occasionally wake up and realize that you were sleeping proves that you are being led by the script. Why did you think that you forgot about your attention? From absent-mindedness? No, it is because you are being led by the script. You think that you are acting independently, getting your own way, but that's just an illusion. The illusion of action, if I may remind you, lies in being so caught up in reality that you don't notice the illusion and aren't aware that you are the obedient character in a game. It is literally like a film. The characters in a film don't fully realize their situation either. I'm not referring to the actors, but the heroes of the film specifically. The actors may be long dead, but the characters they played come to life every time someone watches the film. Don't you find it strange? Technically speaking, there is nothing strange about it. Just scenes from life shot onto a film roll. And yet, it is very strange, isn't it? You invented films not because you came up with the idea yourselves, but because this aspect of reality already exists. You cannot come up with anything new that does not already exist in waking reality or that is not yet explicitly manifest. The only reason you have film is that you are living in a motion picture. Film is a model of reality. Equally as strange is the contradiction whereby you, as characters, unlike the heroes of a motion picture, are endowed with consciousness. It is a paradox. Reality is a joke. And still, you have a chance. Although you are fully present and self-aware in the moment that you ask yourself the question, the rest of the time your awareness is sleeping and surrenders to the outer script. What is also incredible is that you aren't shocked by the idea that you are merely sleeping characters in a script, although you should. The reason it doesn't shock you is that you aren't capable of seeing through the illusion of action. It is very powerful. You simply don't take it seriously when I say you are being led by the script. You think it's a joke or some kind of esoteric fantasy. But it's true. And even when you take me at my word, you aren't fully aware of it, just like the characters in a film aren't aware that they are characters in a film. But perhaps, one day, after you have experimented with reality, the moment will come to you when you will be acutely aware of it. And then you really will be shocked. But for now, you only vaguely suspect the existence of the script, the phenomenon of fate. Yet fate is just a general direction. You can choose your fate like a road, but you are twerps that you choose fate in a worsening direction because you see harm rather than advantage in life. And also because you do not really choose. Instead, you go out of your way to control everything, thereby creating even more harm. The script is much more strict and precise than your perception of fate. It is a program that dictates your behavior and all your actions on the current film roll. It is not possible to control the script. All you can do is choose a different one by composing a concordant reality. It is tempting to try and control the script, given your habit of doing so and the illusion that such a thing is even possible for you. When you try to exert direct influence on people and events, you are making a mistake that leads to a whole series of negative actions and adverse effects. Then the script begins to move in such a way that the clouds on the horizon of your reality can only get heavier. And then you will find yourself like a rat in a maze, looking for a way out, which is grueling and unproductive. You must understand that it is not possible to directly influence either the local script or the general course of events. You can only grasp the edge of the canvas of reality and make use of some of its components. Seeking the advantage is one of those components, and if you don't get this, I'll annihilate you all. Dimwits I can do without. I have a button called delete. It countermands everything, or erases it. I don't remember which exactly. I should check. The creator's spark. Repetition, repetition, my dears, my beauties. Repetition is to your advantage, although it is torment for me. Or not. As I said, repetition is your pain and my gain, my little maniacs. You aren't yet seeing or composing reality. You live within it like a fish in an aquarium. You forget to track your attention because you are being led by the script. You are only able to invent cinema because you are already living in a film. The cinema is one aspect of reality, literally a model of it. The script is the program for your behavior on this particular film roll. You can't control the script, you can only compose the goal frame. Now we return once again to that age-old question, why is everything not quite as I want it to be? You already know the answer to this question. It lies in the fact that you don't fully realize this situation you find yourself in. At least you didn't until now. Is it possible to make things in life the way you would like them to be? The answer is affirmative. The only problem is that you aren't going about it in the right way. Imagine that you have woken up inside a film. What can you possibly change? The film develops irrespective of your actions. There's no point in trying to influence people and events because everything is predetermined. Yet this is precisely what you do your best to achieve. The break occurs in the moment that a tiny spark of awareness tells you that nothing is going as you want it to, and yet at that, the spark fades. By virtue of being incompetent characters on the one hand and having the capacity for self-awareness on the other, you are ruled by the powerful temptation to control the course of events and other people directly, exerting influence upon them and manipulating them within the current frame. You soon realize that this isn't actually impossible and begin to be tormented by the question of how. And yet, you can't possibly know how because you haven't read the script. So if the script is a mystery and you can't control it or the people within it, what can you do exactly? First, propel the forthcoming frame. Second, propel yourself. Third, propel yourself from within. This is the sum total of the tools at your disposal. The first one you already know. Compose the goal slide. You must be wondering why I repeat this point so often. It is because you have settled hard into your snail house, your mold, which would make you believe that it is impossible to compose forthcoming reality. You can only battle with the conditions of your current physical reality. In fact, in life, it's the opposite. In composing reality, you install a film roll with a script that works for you, if, of course, You seek advantage from the situation it brings your way rather than hindering it by always expecting the worst. We will talk about the third point later. For now, the second. What does it mean to propel yourself? Imagine that you are in a film. The film is already running and you can't change anything about the storyline, but no one is stopping you from changing yourself. Don't listen to those who would try to convince you that you should be yourself and never change. To a certain extent, yes, you can't lose your core identity, your uniqueness. But should you stay a snail? Is that what you want? You have to change without changing. You will understand soon what I mean by that. Self-improvement does not mean changing your core self. You were originally created by nature as perfection itself, even taking into account your failings, which all of us have. Where there is no development, there is no degradation. It is a natural law. It is important for you to understand that you have to work on yourself, develop your physical and your spiritual qualities, unless you wish to turn into shriveled slugs. Much depends on self-development. In each of you, there is a spark of the Creator, so kindle it. The spark is not of the Lord, but specifically of the Creator. To lord it over others is another kind of temptation, which you must never give in to. Create your reality and yourself perfect. The Supreme Creator does not contradict this rule. He does not rule over you. What would be the point? You wouldn't listen anyway. He creates, and you are capable of doing the same. How and why we focus on physical self-development? You and I are well aware. Who needs a shriveled slug? What can they possibly achieve except frown and complain of their fate? It sounds harsh, but it is the truth, and you can't hide from the truth forever in your little snail's house. In spiritual terms, we must become as fireflies in the realm of shadows. I have already explained to you how. Enlighten your attention, that is, track it in time, see yourself and see reality. Even just doing this, you begin to shine. And what if you were to radiate even more brightly? What should you radiate precisely? Do you really need to ask? Well, naturally, with the same things that attract you, with happiness, love, and rejoicing. When you do, snails from all around will crawl towards you, stretching out their snail horns. Even without changing the film roll, people will show interest and favor towards you. The film continues as before, only now you are a megastar. You barely have to do anything at all. Just learn to track your attention and direct it properly. Kindle the Creator's spark within. A most pleasant exercise and worthy goal, is it not? There are a couple of finer points I will tell you about too. 1. You must compose reality at the same time as doing whatever the script requires of you. First, compose reality, then having jumped to a new film roll, do everything you have to do. Go wherever you must, say and do whatever you must. Yes, all this is in the current frame. You didn't think that you could get away with lounging on the sofa, indulging in mental imaginings alone, did you? 2. Don't just seek advantage for yourself. Allow all other snails to do the same. Advantages for yourself and advantages for others. This should be on the list of principles that make up your personal philosophy. Otherwise, you'll go back to the same senseless rigmarole of trying to control people and events. That's how it is, my angels. Dictates of power. Come closer, snails. I have good news for you. Do you know what the main idea of the script is once you are beyond 20 years old? It's your personal degradation. Are you pleased? Why not? You have hope. You have me. You can't change the current film roll, even once you've woken up. When you compose your own reality, you start another film script that works for you. If you don't work on self-development, there will be degradation instead. You were originally created perfect. There is a spark of the Creator in each and every one of you. To kindle the Creator's spark within, focus on self-development. You have a choice. Either allow the script to propel you forward or take yourself for yourself so that you can propel yourself and significantly accelerate the implementation of the design. Now, rather than getting into explanations of what propel yourself means, I will return again to the question of your obsessive need to control the script. This is a very important issue. It is linked to your paranoia, my little irks. I have to explain constantly what you mustn't do and what that which you mustn't do really is. So stretch out those snail horns and listen carefully. You constantly want something from people or events, trying to coerce or somehow influence them so that things turn out your way. at the same time as being tormented by the question of how to make it happen. For example, say you're a guy trying to make an impression of an individual of the opposite sex so that she'll agree to go on a date with you. You implement what, in your opinion, is nothing short of the impressive mating dance of a jaybird, but she gives you the cold shoulder nonetheless. Having the capacity for self-awareness, you ask the question, how? And design a whole seduction strategy based on your own perceptions. Yes, in the moment that you ask yourself how, your self-awareness is awakened, but it gets in your way because you're not thinking about the goal but your own silly ideas of how to manifest it. Your imagined script contradicts the real one, but you insist on having your own way and spoil everything as a result. Unlike you, the jaybird acts without self-awareness, instinctively giving itself to the script. The jay has more chances of getting what it wants than you because it only has the one goal in mind and none of its own fabrications on the theme of how. You have never tried behaving like that, right? Well, try it. Just go up to the object of your passion without thinking about it and say and do whatever comes into your mind. If you keep only the goal in your thoughts, the script will lead you to it. The only difference between the jay's behavior and your own should be that you are consciously observing yourself. You need to observe yourself. Observe what you are giving your attention to so that rather than sinking back into constructing your own plan, you follow the barely perceptible nudges from the script as if they were the dictates of power. It is complex and simple at the same time. Complex because it is unusual and unfamiliar to you to put aside your own motives and surrender to an external power. It's simple because you can sense these dictates of power if you allow them to lead you, consciously and intentionally. Now, do you understand what I'm talking about? It's still the same thing, the principles of strolling live through a motion picture. The principles are paradoxical because they go against your ideas and habits. In a non-aware state, you go against the script, and when you wake up, you are even more impatient to act willfully. You have to think and act in the opposite way. Do not resist automatically with knee-jerk reactions. Surrender, purposefully and consciously. Imagine that you are a mannequin with a wax face, an unseeing gaze, and you move as if you were an inanimate wind-up doll. Then, suddenly, you enter a state of awareness. Your eyes light up, and that is the only thing that differentiates you. Of course, you will shine with a special inner light, evoking unconscious warmth from those who are still sleeping. But you shouldn't stand out in any other way. Just follow the flow of the film roll like everyone else. Once you have awakened, you continue moving mechanically in the crowd of other mannequins and doing the same as everyone else, without giving away your presence. Pretend that you are still sleeping and secretly change the film roll. Do you remember what this is called? It's imitating motion. By consciously allowing the script to lead you, you are in fact leading yourself, using the power and wisdom of the script. And then everything goes smoothly. By not allowing, you spoil everything. Then for you, nothing is going as I want it to, partly because you are not allowing it to. Some may protest, why should I rely on the power and wisdom of a script that is leading me? Who knows where, and may or may not actually have any true power or wisdom. And how do I know it's invested in anything being how I want it to be? Of course, the script is not invested as such, but there is a sense in which the script will listen to you if you are listening in return. Why it will listen to you and why you should rely on it, we will come to later. For now, let's start by answering a simple question. Is it possible to resist the script in principle, and is it worth doing so? For example, let's say the object of your passion has agreed to go on a date with you. What do you usually do when you're preparing for a date? You construct your own plan and expectations. You want events to go according to your plan, and you want the object of your passions to behave in the way you'd like her to. In reality, everything turns out differently, which evokes your discontent as well as negative reactions and consequences. Think for yourselves. Why should events unfold as you imagined them to? And why should people behave as if you expect them to? It's not unlike watching a film or television series and expecting the plot to develop in accordance with your own script, and the characters in the film to act according to your own expectations. Would that happen? No. Absolutely everything is the same way in the film which you consider to be your life. Following. Hey, and away. You have already learned a lot, my dears, but far from enough to walk freely through a motion picture. We will go over it all again and again. The question how takes you away from your goal and your goal frame composition. Wanting everything to go my way spoils everything and takes you away from the goal. Resisting the script brings you nothing but trouble. If all your thoughts are focused on the goal, the script will lead you to it. Do not resist. Observe yourself and follow the flow of the film roll. Learn to feel the decrees of power and to follow the decrees of power. If controlling the events and people in the current film roll is impossible, what should you do? Let go of both and allow the film roll just to turn as it is already turning and allow people to live their lives just as they are already living them. Why would you worry about the current film roll if you are free to change it? And when did you decide that you have the right to influence other people? Let them all go, and they will let you go. And what's more, run to you and do what you want them to do. But more on that later. I remind you, your mind should be focused on the end result, the goal slide, not the course of events or the behavior of other people. You can't resist the script. That's impossible, even when you're being fully present. All the changes that take place in your reality that is in accordance with your will are the result of you switching to a different film roll. You can't do anything about the script in the current film roll. Some may protest that they have woken up and decide to escape the script, consciously and intentionally. Let's say you decide to do something earth-shattering. For example, to beat someone's horns for no good reason. Maybe I'll get the same in return, but still, I have broken from the script while being fully present. Firstly, you cannot confirm that this, your curveball, was not in the script. And secondly, so go ahead and make all the curveballs you like. What's the point in that? We're talking about solving your problems and achieving your most sought-after goals, and about why your dreams aren't coming true. Playing curveball with reality can never lead to anything good. Reality is not to be trifled with. Reality must be handled competently. That's what this is all about. All the rest is trivial, and the same goes for the minor exceptions from the rule, which undoubtedly you will come across in the course of your experiments. All these little things are unworthy of your attention. It is better to focus on the main thing that is of a fundamental importance. So let's move on to the specifics. Once you have woken up, the meaning and principle of strolling through a motion picture are not to start creating your own tyranny, but to consciously obey. Composing reality and switching the film roll, herein lies your free will. In everything else, the essential thing is to wake up, observe, and follow. Wake up in order to do three things consciously. 1. Reject the script's control. 2. Start to follow the script. 3. Compose your goal frame. Observe in order to 1. Track your attention. 2. Track the advantage and benefit from it. 3. Track and illuminate the upcoming slide. Track in order to make use of the power and wisdom of the script. The script is like a river, always moving along the optimal path. Your first task is to show it the destination, the goal. You will not be able to calculate how to achieve the goal. There are too many variants, subtle details, people, circumstances, and events involved, and all of them are equally unknown to you. The script can solve the task with ease, and so your second task is to follow it. Following in this case is not quite the same thing as what we were talking about when discussing the principles of advantage and allowing. Following is the ability to sense the decrees of power and obey them. However, you don't always have to feel them. Often it is enough to consciously observe the pattern of how events are unfolding, and then to simply accept them, act in accordance with them, and show no resistance. To sense the direction which the script is pushing you, it is enough to become fully present, to be in a state which you can see yourself and see reality. If reality does not give you a clear answer where you should follow, it means you must listen more carefully to yourself and your feelings. When you are fully present, you will be able to do this very easily. The harder task is to track yourself at the right time so that you wake up. Here are the various triggers that we leveraged in the methods for tracking attention, frame illumination, and advantage will help you. You must use the triggers, all of them, continually, so that it becomes a habit. That's the only way of learning to wake up at the right time. Unless this becomes a habit, nothing will work. The ability to wake up at the right time is the most important thing. In addition to the above, I give you the control triggers. Your most destructive habit is your desire to control everything: the script, events, and people. 1. I want something from people and events. 2. I want everything to go according to my plan. 3. Something isn't going the way I would like. It is essential that you replace the habit of controlling with a new habit: letting go and following. And now, the following method. 1. Catch the control trigger. 2. Wake up. I see myself and I see reality. 3. Ask yourself, feel, what is the first command saying? 4. If you receive an answer to this question, follow the command. 5. If you don't receive an answer, compose the goal slide and try following again. Outer power. So how are you, my sweet little lambs? Have you understood that a live stroll isn't just a stroll along the lines of, I'll do whatever I want? On the contrary, on the walk I am humility itself. I behave quietly, without giving away my presence. I watch and follow. You will also have realized that in reality, all this is total pretense and imitation. So let's repeat the principles. Wake up, observe, follow. Compose the goal frame and follow the script. Following makes use of the power and wisdom of the script. Constantly respond to the triggers so that they become a habit. Replace the habit of controlling with the habit of letting go and following. To follow is to have the ability to feel and heed the decrees of power. Only you mustn't confuse the decrees of power with a desire to indulge in your own weakness and stupid inclinations, my sweetie pies. By following the first impulse, the decree, or as it is also referred to, your intuition or presentiment, you are taking the first step. It is a mistake to ignore the decrees. Disobedience is not the same thing as freedom. If you go at odds with the script and make a mistake, it will bring you back into the fold, only this time in a worse program on account of your error. The reason for your disobedience in this case is your self-awareness, or more precisely, your self-importance. The reason it causes you harm is that you aren't using it for the purpose it was intended. It leads to inappropriate action as opposed to right action. Your conceit doesn't realize the nature of your situation. I have told you in some detail that you are in a film, in the position of one of the characters, and I have also explained how you must act in order to free yourself from this position. In the previous lessons, we have talked about how the script is a program that shapes your behavior and all your actions on the current film roll. But is that the be-all and end-all of the script? There are in fact two exceptions to this, one constructive, the other destructive. I have already described the destructive exception, which is when you fail to heed the script. The constructive exception lies in the moment that you wake up and consciously compose your own reality. This is the only thing that isn't included in the script. The script doesn't foresee the exception that you are capable of switching the film roll and coming into possession of a different script. You see how curiously the world is constructed? The script isn't aware of your ability to change the film roll. This is a privilege granted to you by the Creator. No one, not a single living being, can do this except you. You are the exception to the general rule, and yet you don't use it. As I have already explained, the script can even be obedient to you. In what sense? When you compose your own reality. The current script releases you and gives way to another, that of the film roll into which you shift the moment you illuminate the goal frame. As you know, you have two intention centers, inner and outer. The inner center is located in the forehead, the outer at the tip of the plate. Inner intention accounts for your basic performance in the current frame. So far, we have only mentioned outer intention in passing when we talked about the principle of it having nothing to do with you. I'll remind you again. You are taking a live stroll through a film when you are present with your attention and propel yourself with your intention. Propel the frame, but not with your petty intention. Propel it with outer intention. The outer intention is referred to as such because it is not yours. It does not belong to you or take instructions from you. How does it move then, and what on earth is it? You might suppose that the script is the outer intention, but it isn't. There is something else beyond the script. The outer intention is a kind of power, a driver that powers reality. Its active component turns the film roll in the way it is destined to turn. Who predetermines the storyline and for what purpose? This is a weighty, complex question, and not the one we shall attempt to answer here. It is more important to us to understand what we can do with the phenomenon of predetermination. You can't influence or directly impact power, but you can use it indirectly. You have an access point to this power, which is your outer center, the plate. When you are asleep, power takes you by the plate and leads you through the script like a puppet. But when you are awake, fully present, and take the plate into your own hands, meta power, power's reactive component, is activated. This is what enables you to launch a different film roll, one that corresponds to the frame you are composing. We have already looked at the method for working with the plate, but we'll repeat it here once more, just for good measure. Wake up and enter the awareness point, being present. Activate the plate, focus your attention on it, feel it. Without removing your attention from the plate, compose your goal frame. As soon as you become fully present, your attention came into your possession. As soon as you have activated the plate, the puppet strings also ended up in your hands. Now, without letting go of the strings, direct your attention to the inner screen and draw the picture of your future. Compose your goal frame. Your attention is simultaneously focused on the internal screen and the plate. Attention feels the plate and draws, visually and/or in words, thoughts, on the screen. It draws not from the inner center, but from the outer center, which is at the same time both yours and not yours. You are applying not a visible, tangible power, but a virtual, intangible meta power, which acts somewhere behind you and beyond you. It has nothing to do with you. You aren't doing anything directly. You are simply facilitating indirectly and observing what is happening. Do not force, allow, so that it can move of its own accord. Note and remember the feeling that arises behind you and beyond you. This is your contact with power. If you can learn to own this feeling, power will be with you.